Hello, I'm Fred McNeil, and you're watching QAC TV. We have a great show called Commissioner's Corner. On a regular basis, different commissioners come in and they discuss topics that will be of importance to you and the community. I'm delighted to have with us Commissioner Steve Wilson today. Steve, thanks a million for coming in.
My pleasure, Fred.
There's some signs of spring outside. Not a lot, but some signs.
One of them is not warm weather.
No, good. Now, you came in and said you got a whole bunch of stuff you want to talk about. The show's yours.
We could talk about almost anything, but I would like to say that my fundamental interest in county government is providing those things which I think the government is required to do, which is to say police, detention, schools, and by the way, when I was in school, I found it a form of detention, but now I love it.
We all did till we were 18.
Anyway, the Emergency Services Department, the Health Department, Parks Department, those are the things that the government needs to, those are the basic services of government.
The fundamental rules of government.
Those are my special interests, and then other commissioners do other things, but that's what I do, principally.
Okay.
So I could start with any one of those departments and talk about what we're getting done, and have you any interest or think?
Well, I know what's close to your heart is emergency medical services.
That is
We
true.
took the camera crew out there last week.
Yeah.
We met the director, we saw the facility, and we interviewed all the department heads.
Right.
That's close to you. Why don't you start out with that?
Sure. We have in our county a remarkable situation. It's this. We have within our close range 3 or 4 of the best hospitals in the world between Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, Anne Arundel, even reach out to GW in Washington, and Shore Health down on the Eastern Shore. And what we don't have is a hospital in our own county. We're one of only 2 counties that don't have a hospital. So our job in this county is to provide the absolute best transport, because if we have that transport, we then have the best
You can get the people
basically health care in the world.
Sure.
In Queen Anne's County, which is remarkable because we don't have to pay to have it here, but what I have to do is to make sure that the public gets there absolutely as safely and quickly as they can, and that's what in the past this county is set up to do. We have a really excellent one, and I go down, you can speak to Scott Haas or Dr. Ciatola or my great admired man, Mr. Wheatley, and say, how can we make this better? What can we do that could possibly make this service run quicker and better? Because particularly in a county with a demographic of aging people, we wind up with a pretty heavy caseload, which is going to increase. And now our basic transport units are really like moving emergency wards. We carry drugs and we carry protocols and techniques on them that couldn't have been imagined 15 years ago,
yeah, sure.
maybe 3 years ago. Within the last 3 months since this round of commissioners got in, we've added a thing called a Lucas device, which it allows you to continue to have chest compressions if you're having a heart attack. Almost nobody could keep that up for 40 minutes steadily while you moved from your house over to Easton or over to Anne Arundel. But these machines mechanically do that. They are put around you and provide that service and keep you alive. We've added in the last 3 months a Doppler scanner which can pick up bleeds and can pick up internal inconsistencies. So those are 2 things. We have been a little bit behind in our staffing down there. We've added a new dispatcher. One thing you do not want in 911 is hold.
Someone not answering.
Yeah, or pleasant music.
Help.
So I think what we're going to have and do have is literally the best transport system in the United States. And this is an internal thing which the county runs, but I don't want to depreciate the fact that there are, I think, 12 volunteer ambulance companies with something like 20 units. So between our central units and those, all of which provide terrific service, it's a complicated system to run, and it's run out of the 911 where we triage every incident that comes in, because you don't know whether to send 1 fire truck or 3 in a pumper. You don't know what response with the police. so that our dispatchers have to make their minds up and calibrate not just what it is they're doing, but the amount of that.
Type of support
And
they
so
need.
anyway, it's a complicated operation. I think we've got it literally as good as exists. So that's because of the urgency of health. That's my number one.
Good. We were very impressed when we saw the facility. The new director took us around. It's an amazing facility.
Isn't that something?
And look, as a baby boomer senior citizen getting grayer every day, it's nice to know we do have a great unit like this. Units that will respond.
I'm astonishingly proud of it, but I am resolute that every week I go down there and talk to Dr. Ciatola or talk to Scott Haas and say, what's the next step?
Good. So you want to keep funding what we've got now, but keep looking for what we need to do next.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's great for the
So
community.
that's one.
Number one on your list.
Well, they're all number one.
All
It's
number
like
one.
having kids.
Okay.
You know.
There's no favorite.
Yeah.
How about something? I'm amazed. I was driving from Upper County down to Kent Island. The number of police stops. I mean, these were state, county police. How about law enforcement? Now, what are your interests in that area? And what do you think? What direction should we be
Well,
going?
I've been extremely friendly with Sheriff Hoffman for years and years. He and I are very sympathetic to each other's interests, and I think that he is an excellent sheriff, and that we needed to add a little bit of heft to his department. We've added a HR person to his department because police often can have personnel difficulties because the interactions with the public are rarely smooth. I mean, by their very nature. So we beefed up that department in terms of its cars and staffing. I think it's in good shape, and the last set of commissioners left it in pretty good shape. So
You're pretty happy with
I'm pretty happy with where that one is right now.
Good, great.
And I think he's doing a terrific job, and so that's one that
You're pretty comfortable with.
I'm
right now.
comfortable with that, as I am with Lamont Detention.
Okay,
The
good.
detention department, I think, is in good order. One that was not was our Public Works Department, because during the economic downturn of 2008, we have 558 miles of road in Queen Anne County, of which 500 are tar and chip, and those require that they be resurfaced about every 5, 6, 7 years, and we came to doing zero.
You had to
And
cut
we-
back because of tough
Well,
times.
I don't call it zero cut back.
As I go through a pothole.
Yes, exactly. No, I think that was not what I would have done, because I think you always, the public property is in a way a public trust. And I don't think, no matter what the circumstances are, you allow public goods to deteriorate. But be that as it may, we now have that back on a full-scale repair footing. I have asked Todd, and I think that our current plan is that in 3 years, I've heard another commissioner say it was some other number, but I believe that number to be 3 years, we're going to be completely back up to
Where we should be on our roads.
equilibrium in the system, because if we have 500 miles right now, of which probably 400 are behind, we are going to do, instead of the 60 or 70 we should do every year, we're going to do about 100, which, bringing us up 30 each year. After 3 years will give you another 100. So 3 years, 300 plus another 100 gives you 4, and
Right, catch up
so
and
that
get where
gets
we
us
belong.
up to speed in this term.
Great.
And this all ties, of course, into budget, because you can't do these things with no money. The good news is that the county is in good economic shape, and that without raising taxes, I think we can do this and some other things. So that is Public Works. In the Park Department, the parks were not as well kept up. We have buildings issues in the parks. We have allocated another, I think, $200,000 for building repair. We're bringing in extra people because we're adding one field. When I say field, we're adding one set of fields, the Davidson fields, because we have so many people clamoring to play on weekends that sometimes the
just don't have
the
Oh,
sheriff's
that's-
department has to allocate
Little
the,
league parents fighting over fields.
well, it's nice that kids and parents are getting out there, but let me just say this about sports fields. You have to be careful when you're trying to project the future, because if you had looked at this situation 10 years ago, you would have thought that tennis would never stop growing, but it did.
Yeah.
And then a few years ago, golf began to roll over the top, and golf courses are getting in trouble. We don't in this county, and I discussed this with my fellow commissioners, want to overbuild our fields and then find out 4 years
10
from
years, we don't need them.
all the kids are doing video games or something. But at the moment, we're still behind on fields. One thing is that there's a tremendous interest in tournament play from outside individuals.
This is lacrosse, soccer tournaments, things like that.
Absolutely. So as we develop, for instance, the Davidson Farm, which will provide us 10 extra fields, we can rent these things for as much as $50,000 a weekend. So we can cover the nut on the interest and carry on these deals, I think. And in the Davidson project, which we're, I believe, in this budget getting ready to approve, the field, the $1,050,000 cost of the first building of the fields is $900,000 of it is already, it's either a combination of state grants or money that was put in years ago, so it's only going to take about 15% county funding
So
to
money's
accomplish.
available, it sounds like,
And we
yeah.
will more than cover that. That is not expressive of the entire outlay, though, because eventually, if we're going to use it, we have to have bathrooms, roads in.
Sure.
There are other things that's up ahead of us in the road, but that's getting started with that.
Let me follow up on the fields. Any more talk about our artificial turfs? I know a lot of parents said there was some talk about artificial turfs at the high schools. Is that
Yeah.
maybe next? What's going on with that?
Well, what's going on is it's a debate amongst the commissioners, and I'm not sure who's, the best arm wrestler in town.
Okay.
We've got some folks who want one thing and some another. My superficial and early disposition is not to do this because it is $2 million, which is a lot of money in a small county, and that what our most urgent need is, I believe, is to get more playing fields out there. What that really more than anything accomplishes is to allow us to practice on rainy days. That is a wonderful and important thing, but not as important as the ability to practice
Having
at
a
all.
lot of fields, kids can get on. Yeah,
If
okay.
I had those done, I would feel more comfortable spending that much money, but at a time when we probably have salary and other issues in the schools, to go ahead and do something which to me is, it might be unfair, but slightly ornamental.
Okay.
You
Sure.
know what I mean?
All right. So it's still being discussed.
I would be more comfortable
Okay.
if we met the other interests we have out in Schoolville, because Mrs. Williamson has come in with a rather large budget request, and I'm respectful of it. But it's hard for me to do fields and then, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just,
The decisions, commissioners. Okay.
absolutely.
Well, Steve,
But
yeah.
again, this is something that's in very serious debate amongst, concerned commissioners, and I like the sort of Darwinian
We'll see how it comes
process.
out. Yeah. Okay. So, well, speaking, you brought up a point when talking about the fields, salaries, county workers, educators, etc., like that. Where are we on that? Or what are your feelings on that? People said, "Well, look, we haven't had pay raises in 5 years." What do you think?
Well, we didn't have them for a long time. In the last couple of years, we've gone back to pay for performance and COLAs, and you have to be extraordinarily careful, because salaries to me are like a Rubik's Cube. You move one part of it and you
That's everything.
you destabilize the rest. When 70% of the cost of government is salary. So if I do anything in salary anywhere, it's likely to affect everywhere.
Sure.
And so only with the greatest caution and fear in my heart, because the one thing I don't want to do is to have to knock up people's taxes.
Sure.
And right now, we are in quite good shape. We have the 4th or 5th lowest tax rate in the state out of 22 counties. but I don't want to be in the middle or in the upper part. I want to stay down here.
Keep it down low.
Absolutely. So my concern is we can do that if we don't get, I mean, every department has a clamor. There isn't one that I go see that I don't hear, gee, it would be
More
great.
money.
It would be great if. The problem is each one of them are deserving. But the problem is if I move one, what is going to happen out in the other parts of the, so I'm not wanting to remark on that other than
Okay.
to tell you I'm cautious about
Okay,
it.
and
Yeah.
as a consider,
I-
hey, here's something, could change the topic a little bit if it's all right. Always talking about the balance between growth and economic development. We have a new director of economic development. I know you and many of the commissioners are concerned about this lovely environment. What's going on in that area? And what do you think?
Well, Mr. Bucky and Paul Comfort that was their main field of concentration. And as I told you, the things that I'm trying to do are to see that the ambulance gets there quicker, that we have enough police presence in the county, that the schools are adequately funded, and mainly I leave that business up to them. But I do incidentally, and how could I not have some reservations or reflections on it, one of which is that in this county we now have 5.1% unemployment. So I'm not too desperate about creating jobs when I don't have an unemployment problem, because you can't run a municipal district with much lower of a float than 4%. So I got about 1% loose. What we need in the county are high wage jobs, not just jobs. So if eco development can bring in something that, but I'm not crazy about the idea of just bringing in jobs, because if I brought them in and didn't equally require that those jobs be filled by already existing Queen Anne citizens, is what I'm trying to do, bring in more public, which would require more schools, which would require more taxes.
Infrastructure.
So there are these secondary effects that you very quickly get into. So I am much more measured in my enthusiasm for, not that there isn't a good part of business development, but that all parts of business, just the saying business development does not bless you to me.
You want the high end a little bit with
Only.
white collar.
Mainly,
salary.
I will say.
Okay.
Because the creation, there's a lot of low-end jobs out in the outlet centers and the fast foods and so on. We need high-end stuff. That's what's moving people out of the county. I'm not sure how easy that is to accomplish, so my sense of whether it can be accomplished, I'm waiting to see. But that's, like
You're
my
thinking you want the high end salary, sure.
But this is the reflections of somebody that's not doing it.
Okay.
Bucky or Paul or other people are. But I am going to get you that ambulance on time. I am going to see
Fundamental services,
that
which
the
you.
budget balances, that kind of stuff is what,
Okay. Hey, Steve, here's one I hear every Saturday. I go out to the county dock. We have this wonderful woman, Connie Tolson, who runs it. We interviewed her. Fantastic. I mean, this is a woman who talks trash with enthusiasm.
yeah.
A lot of people, when you say, Fred, do you think they'll ever go back to where the transfer stations are basically open 5 days a week plus Saturday? I mean, is there any movement in changing that at all? Or do you know?
I haven't heard that. We have a solid waste plan which has just been put into being, and I know that the operation of the transfer centers, and I've heard several people complain that the transfer station up in the north end of the county ain't open, but just, 5 minutes on Thursday and 2 minutes.
Better than that, but it's inconvenient.
7 minutes Saturday morning, but whatever the story is, I don't know it, because I don't know what part of that component, how you could do that with, I don't know what the cost reflections are. And in the end, everything in government is this, I describe it as a Rubik's Cube, of which the central part is the finance of it. So if we could add to convenience without adding to cost, sure.
Okay.
And I don't know the answer to that. So
It's a work in progress.
I
Okay.
passed the question to,
How about, Steve, we've got just a couple minutes left. If you're talking to the citizens out, what can we do as a citizen to help the commissioners? I mean, Jim Moran had a wonderful day, Earth Day, where we picked up trash. Sounds good. In terms of budgets and these, what you call main issues, with fire service, EMS, police protection, is there input you want from citizens? Is there a way, how can we help? I mean, the commissioners, you got the toughest job in the world, because you're the ones that make the final decision on all these issues. What, having been in office 100+ days now, are there things the citizens can be helping with you, or information we can be giving you?
Look, good citizenship, good cooperative behavior is always something which every county requires, or every municipality does. I mean, one thing I notice, and that I've spoken to with Gary, is that where other districts are having fracases between the police and the public, we have very good community policing here. And a thing which I much admire about the way he runs the sheriff's department is that it's not adversarial. I like the feeling that rather than there to shoot you with a radar gun, maybe he's going to help you stop and get your tire fixed. And I like that element.
You like that community service, community police outlook.
I want the community to have a friendly feeling, not like it's so. But that requires that the public act like that too, and they do. That's the nice thing. We have we have differences about the sewer, we have differences about growth, but the county is, you know, that is a kind of Darwinian dialogue that's healthy. I'm not ill-disposed toward people that disagree, as long as it stays on the pretty happy level it's been. So I don't have anything. What the citizens are doing is a cute, peculiar thing.
Makes it so
we
unique,
have in our county a very healthy demographic. We have a stream of income which is coming into this county from the income tax side, which has moved from 27 million down in 2000 up to 41 million today. And that is allowing this county to pave its roads and to have the ambulance nice. And that counties that are further away from the Washington job market don't have that. And they are economically struggling. But our county, while not overrunning with money, we're in good shape. So the citizens are doing what they should be doing, paying about what they should. We shouldn't be raising taxes. We need to get the things that haven't been done straightened out. But having accomplished that, I think the county is running quite well.
Good.
Positive feeling.
That's
about
good to know. Okay. All right.
Yeah, there are a lot of places you wouldn't want to be administrating, but this isn't one of them.
This is not that bad.
Yeah.
With the remaining minutes, any other topics you want to touch upon? Something?
Well, I leave that. I mean, you were the public.
Okay.
So tell me.
Well, no, I think that's good. I think, Steve, I said this the first time I interviewed you. I've said this to Greg Todd. I've said it to all the commissioners come in. I think you guys have set up, a nice environment where you're acting very professional in your governance. When I watch the commissioner meetings, you respect each other, and it looks like whatever battles are being fought respectably in the back room, as they should be. And that's for us public. It makes me, I would think the public say, I'll go to that budget hearing and speak up, because you know what? They respect me, I respect them, and I respect the five of them. I mean, that's a big plus. I hope you keep that for 4 years. I'm sure you will, but I mean, that's a great thing.
Well, upset too.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it easy.
I would like to remark on the rather sad passage of Mr. Comfort to another life, because he has, as a day or two ago, been taken from us to the land of transportation, and he was a very good administrator. He had been the county administrator, knew the workings of government, and was practical, and was able to state and clarify things very nicely. He's a very good summarizer.
He'll be a loss to the commission.
He is going. It might be that the person who comes next brings something else to the table, but I would like to remark on my personal sadness at the loss of P. Comfort.
I think we all wish Paul good luck.
Yeah.
It's a bigger paycheck, bigger responsibilities, and we wish him all the success. And we're here in the next month or so who will be a new commissioner, or is there any time frame that you all know about?
This is outside of my realm.
Okay, that's in the political...
I think in the hands of the Republican Central Committee, and that I was asked, did I have a favorite? And I said I might, but it's in the hands of the Republican Central Committee, and I think they should decide it. I do strongly feel that every district should have representatives from that district. So I do.
The first district should have somebody from the first
Absolutely,
district.
because, you could, I don't want two people from District 2 or 3 bickering with each other about what that district wants. I want that district to have a representative.
Somebody that lives in that first district.
Yeah.
Steve, last question. First 100+ days, biggest pleasant surprise about being county commissioner? Is there something you said, gee, I didn't expect this, this is great? Personnel, maybe we work with the county.
I've been 24 years doing county commission, so I know a lot of the personnel, and we have a really, I mean, it's sort of like Lake Wobegon. Everybody's kids are above average. We do have a really nice, cooperative, good bunch of administration people and staff in the government. So it was good, but it wasn't a surprise. It was a known fact.
You knew they were good, yeah.
What I suppose I'm surprised with are two things that are incidental and small. But I love the fact that once in a while you can go around and actually fix something for somebody.
Good.
That's a nice feeling.
Right. When they call you, you can say, hey, guess what?
Yeah.
That problem solved.
Yeah, I mean, when we were able, within a week or two, when emergency services came and said we need new equipment on the ambulances to stop people from dying from heart attacks, to be able in 2 weeks to turn around and say, you got it.
That's not bad, is it?
No,
that's not bad.
I mean, it makes you feel pretty good.
Makes us old guys with tickers that are sometimes questionable feel very happy.
I could see myself saying, wow, what a nice machine.
Yeah, okay.
So that kind of thing. And secondly, the fact that once we got into the budget, it was clear, even by the time we got through 20 or 30% of it, that the process was going to work out so that we could basically satisfy all the fundamental needs, and a few of the cake icing projects without raising taxes and without destabilizing our system. That was concerning to me because I didn't know once we brought the roads and the parks and some of the infrastructure back up to speed, where we'd be in terms of that. Now, what we need to watch is just that we don't build up some enormous expense like having to build a high school, because when you do something like that,
boom goes the budget.
or this courthouse, which goes down to 16 million, and wham, it's back up to 24, 25, 20, I don't know what, but I'm very tough on these mega deals, that's how you can get your government.
You break the bank, isn't it? You break the bank.
Well, you can always patch it back up, but you do it by taxing the citizens harder, and that's not a thing when we ran for office, we ran a bunch of polls, and if there was one thing citizens did not want, it was more taxes. So I'm respectful of that.
Okay. So, Steve, look, time for us to go. Thank you very much. Now, you're going to come back at least once a month, right?
Once a year at least.
Okay.
Now, I think as new things come up that the public would benefit, I'm happy to come here.
We'd love to have you back. Okay.
I'm not running
This is
for
fun.
office.
Right? This is fun. Come on. I'm Fred McNeil. You're watching QAC TV, and you've been watching Commissioner's Corner. We had Commissioner Steve Wilson this time, so we're going to see you next time. Thank you for your time, and my time is up.
Thank you, Fred.
Okay.